This class, we are going to learn how to list the messages or emails in our mailbox with the help of Microsoft Graph APIs for mail. I am here in the official documentation page by Microsoft on using Microsoft Graph REST APIs. From the table of content that is on the left side, we need to traverse to this mail section. Under that, we have the section called as message. If you click on this, that is the message, you will get the message resource type page opened. Here you can read through the documentation available. Coming to the methods, our focus of interest for this class is listing the emails or the messages present in our mailbox. We can click on this hyperlink over here, or we can directly click on the table of content for list messages and go to the documentation for the same. Here Microsoft has provided in detail description on how we can configure our REST API client so that we can communicate with Microsoft Mailbox with the help of those Graph APIs. I will go through this documentation at high level. As Microsoft says, we can get the messages, that is the signed in users mailbox, including deleted items and the cluttered folders. So this list messages, with the help of this API, we can get the mails available in all the folders present in our mailbox, which includes the deleted items as well as the cluttered folders. We can customize the number of mails which we can get in each API call, that is with the help of this top query parameter. I will show you shortly how we can make use of this top as well as the skip over here. Those query parameters, that is top and skip, can be used in a combination and we can create a pagination. Suppose if you are creating a UI wherein you have a pagination where you can traverse between the pages and get the detail about the top 10 or top 100 or so on and so forth in single page, then we can have this over here. Also, we are having couple of query parameters like the select. Suppose in the response we are having n number of properties for a particular mailbox, like a sender details, to or CC, and the message, body, subject, so and so forth, and we are interested on only few properties for the mail, then we can make use of this select and we can restrict the number of properties that are displayed in the response. Also, there is this odata.next link, with the help of which we can access next page in the API. Like suppose in one call we are getting top 10 mails, then in next API call, that is what is available over here in OD data next link, this is the hyperlink we can use in order to access next page, and that call will have again this OD data next link that we can make use and access next page. So like this we can go through the page by page approach. Also, there is a pagination Microsoft Graph data in your app, how we can build paginations in your applications, that is available over here. You can go through the documentations. Let me just go forward in this documentation. Here there are a couple of permissions. We had already seen how we can register our application in Azure portal, where we had learned how we can grant the permissions as a application permissions and as well as for the delegated permissions. You can have a detailed look on that. Now if I scroll down, for the demonstration purpose, I am making use of my personal Microsoft account, that is outlook.com. I am making use of those permissions. I will show you where I have added this while configuring the Postman client. If you are making use of this delegated, that is work or your organization's account or school account, we can make use of those permissions. And if you are creating an application permissions, then you can make use of those permissions over here. Only difference is mail read basic will be for delegated, and for application it will be mail read basic.all. Here is the sample request and the response provided by Microsoft, with the help of which we can build our API request or the payload. And also at the high level, Microsoft has documented how we can make use of this filter and order by query parameters in our request, and the response, what are the common error codes we will get if we don't add this filter and order by query parameters as per the documentation. This is highlighted over here. Now without wasting much time, let's switch over to the Postman client and go through the hands-on. I am here in the Postman client. I have already created a collection for this with the name MS Graph Mails API, and I have created a request, that is list messages, and I have provided the URL over here. Now you might get a question like, how did I arrive at this URL? If I switch over to this documentation page, here is the sample provided by Microsoft. So I have copied exactly similar thing from here and copied and pasted in the Postman client. Next, under authorization, we need to select the type as Auth 2.0. As this Microsoft Graph API supports Outlook 2.0 authentication, we need to go for this. You can check out our previous classes in order to know in detail how we can set up these things. Now coming to the scope, as I told, I have made use of my personal mail account. For that, these are the permissions required. If we scroll up, Here there are the permissions available. We need to just exactly copy from here and paste in our Postman client. Only difference will be the comma should be separated with a space over here. Apart from this, we don't have any other things which is exclusive for the Graph API. Now the HTTP request which is required for this list messages API call is get. I have selected that and click on send. Before clicking on send, we have to make sure we get the latest token from here. Once you have the latest token, click on this send. Now I have got the 200 status over here and I could see the messages available in my mailbox. I will show you the mailbox how it looks. This is the mailbox. I am having couple of emails in my inbox, and in junk email and the deleted items I have few emails. So all those things will be displayed over here. As I told, if I scroll up little bit so that we get a bigger window to view the details. Now if you see, we are having the OD data context, and then it will tell you what is the email ID or the account for which we are accessing this API for. Next, under the properties, which is denoted by this value, we are having the ID. Every mail is associated with a unique ID in our account. So this is identified by this ID. When was this created, change key, categories, received date time, send date time, has attachments. If there is no attachment, it will be false. I don't have any attachments right now, but in our classes going ahead, we'll learn how we can attach the files and send the email. Also how we can read the attachments with the help of API. Then we are having a subject, body preview, important, and so forth things available for any mail. And if we scroll down, we are having a sender details, from details, to recipient, CC, if any we will have, reply to, flag, etc. Now if we scroll down, so this will list only top 10 emails in your mailbox. Suppose if you want to access next 10 records, then you can make use of this URL. As I told at the beginning of this class, we are having the odata.next link. So if we copy this and access this link over here in the Postman, what it does is it will fetch next top 10 mails in your mailbox, but it will skip first 10. That is 10 will be displayed over here, so that it will skip, and next 10 it will list in the response. Now I will add few query parameters. Now let me go to the documentation and see what query parameter I need to use. Scroll down. Now here if you see, they have added a query parameter in order to fetch only sender and the subject. Let me copy this from here and paste it here. Just make sure you put the question mark like we use in any REST API calls when we add the query parameter. Now if you see in the properties, we are having n number of properties over here, like sender, subject are one among them. That is subject and the sender. Now instead of sender, if you want the from, we can just copy from here and put comma and add. If you want the ID, we can add ID. If you want the received date time, we can just copy from here and paste it over here and click on send. Now we will get only those details within the properties for a mail, like the ID, received date time, subject, sender, and from. Apart from this, we won't get any other details. So like this, we can fetch only those properties in which we are interested in. Now let me go back to this documentation. If we scroll up, there are couple of more query parameters highlighted over here, that is filter and order by. When we add this order by and filter, these three things are important to note. First thing is, properties which are appearing in order by clause must also appear in filter. Okay. Next thing is, properties that appear in order by are in the same order in the filter as well. Properties that are present in order by appear in filter before any other properties that aren't. Also make sure that order by is always first query parameter followed by filter. Also make sure in filter we add those properties which are there in order by as well. Now let me switch over to the Postman. Here I will add one property for order by. Let me add here order and by. Let me check the syntax whether it is same. Here it's order followed by, which is equal to, I will separate those two query parameters with the ampersand symbol. I want to order the mails based on the received date time and in the decreasing order. Let me copy and paste it over here with the space and decreasing. I will add ampersand over here and add the filter clause is equal to. Now based on what I want to filter? I want to filter based on the email address. I want to get only those emails which are sent from Microsoft.com, that is this one. Let me copy this from here. Here we need to give the XPath for the from address, that is from /email address /address space and it is equal to, within the single quotes we need to provide the address. Now we had one more clause over here, that is properties which appear in the order by must be present in filter as well. Now for that purpose, what I will do is I will put the AND condition over here, because the condition which we have put in order by, it should be first within the filter. Now I will separate this with AND clause. Now here I will add received date time which must be less than or equal to today's date time. I am recording this class on 23rd of October 2022. I will add the date over here and it should be in ISO format. Once you add those details, we need to click on send. Now if you click on send, we are getting only those emails which are sent from this microsoft.com address. So like this, with the help of this, we can restrict the details what we get from this Graph API for list messages. Now in this class, we had seen how we can access the messages or list the number of messages or the emails present in our mailbox with the help of Graph API. We had seen how we can fetch all. Then we had seen how we can restrict and get only those properties in the response in which we are interested in, like the sender, subject, from, ID, etc. Then we had seen how we can filter based on a particular email address, like we are interested in getting only those emails which are sent from specific email address, then we are filtering. Also we had seen how we can order the response, like if I want to get the mails in a decreasing timestamp format, then we can do. Only make sure those three properties are satisfied when you go for order by and filter. In case if you don't satisfy this criteria, then you will get in the response inefficient filter. So as soon as you get this error, you can correct. In our next classes, we will learn one by one all those APIs over here. In this class, we are going to learn how to create a draft message or a draft email with the help of Microsoft Graph API for our Outlook mailbox. In our earlier class, we had seen how we can get the list of all the emails or messages available in our mailbox with the help of list messages Graph API. If you have not watched that class, please check out the class before going ahead with this class. Here, Microsoft has documented in detail what are the steps we need to follow in order to make use of Microsoft's Graph API in order to create a draft message. So we can have a MIME format as well as the JSON format. We are going to consider the example of JSON format over here, as we are going to make use of Postman client for demonstration purpose. You can make use of MIME as well if you are going for coding or with the help of programming. Now if I scroll down, the main focus of interest over here is the permissions. As I am making use of my personal Microsoft account, that is outlook.com, I am adding this mail.readWrite permissions. We have explained in detail how we can add the delegated as well as application permissions for our Azure app while registering any application or post registering as well. Please check out those classes if you are not sure how to add the permissions. Now if I scroll down, there are few sample requests provided by Microsoft, like how we can construct the message if we are going to construct with the help of JSON. Here you can toggle over here the tabs and select the appropriate programming language what you are making use in order to communicate with Microsoft Graph API. So I'm going to make use of Postman client. So I'm keeping this HTTP tab default and I'm making use of those URL and the body for demonstration. And if I scroll down, there is one more sample provided wherein we can send the custom headers for our message. So this will be helpful while dequeuing or reading the messages programmatically. Based on the header, you can dequeue. Also, if you scroll down, there is an example 3 provided wherein the Microsoft has shown how we can send the MIME format. This is the base64 format wherein you have to send all the details like the 2cc, BCC address, all those stuffs, body as well as the attachment details in the MIME format. Just make sure it doesn't exceed the 4 MB limit. The limit is mentioned over here. The MIME message payloads are currently limited to 4 MB. More than that, if you try to send, you will get 413 request entity too large error. So just make sure you are sending within this 4 MB limit. So without wasting much time, let's begin with our hands-on. I am currently in the Postman client. I have created couple of requests over here. One is without attachment and one is with attachment. I will walk you through one by one both the request over here. Now if I see the documentation and the sample request, I will copy first from here the sample request and paste it over here. Just make sure in the authorization you get the latest access token, and also you are using auth 2.0. Also you need to make sure the permission is added over here. Apart from this, we are having couple of more permission that is not required. So if you want, you can remove. Just make sure you have this read write permission. Now switch over to the body. I have copy pasted exactly the request whatever Microsoft has documented in their docs page. Now instead of this mail address, I will write over here our Gmail email address, gmail.com. Now if you want to change the content, we can change over here. Currently it is set to HTML. You can send text as well. Subject, importance, high, low, we can set over here. Once done, click on send. Before clicking on send, let me show you in my draft folder in my mailbox if there are any prior mails present or not. As you can see over here, I am in the drafts folder in my mailbox. Currently I don't have any draft emails that I am going to create right now. I am clicking on this send. So I have got 201 created message with the ID. This is the unique message ID what we will get for our messages in mailbox. Now let me go to this and just refresh. As you can see, there is a email or a draft message created. That is with the body and the subject whatever we had provided over here. As you can see, we had made the awesome as bold. It is coming as is. Now in the subject, if you want to modify, we can modify. So this will be helpful if you are not sure about what to create the message, or if you are making use of bots which will create a draft message, and at the end of the day executive will go through the email and they will manually send the mails. Also we can automate. We will learn how we can send the draft messages from our mailbox as well going ahead with our classes. So this was for the first request. Let me go to the documentation and check the second. So here there is a second sample wherein Microsoft says creating a draft message which includes custom message headers. So there won't be any difference we can make out from the UI that is from here, but those will be visible only with the backend. Like if you are making use of any programming language for dequeuing the messages, then you can make use of these custom headers and you can dequeue the messages appropriately. Now let me just rename this to our Gmail address, binum.apps@gmail.com. Now click on send. So we got this 201 created message. Let me go to my mailbox. As you can see, I am having one more message over here. The group represent Washington. So earlier we had created this, that is, did you see last night's game? And the latest one is this one. So from the UI we cannot make out exactly the headers, but everything will be visible in the backend. If you know how to verify those from the UI, please write in the comment section so that everyone will know how we can check the custom headers in the UI itself. Now the last one is a mime. I'm not considering this example. You can make use of this whenever you are trying to create a new draft message using mime format. So in the couple of requests which we have seen just now, we didn't add any attachment. Suppose if your requirement is to add the attachments along with the message and the body subject, how we can do that we will learn now. I have created this request. The only difference over here is I have added these things, those properties. One is for the attachments and one more property is has attachments. We have to set to true. And in the attachments, this is an array. As you can see, we can add n number of attachments. So while adding any attachment, we need to tell what is the type. In the type, we are mentioning Microsoft.graph.fileAttachment. We have to provide the file's name. I'm just giving this as a text file, and this is nothing but this will have a message which I have encoded in base64 format with the help of Notepad++ tool on my computer. So this base64 content, if you decode, it will tell this is a sample attachment. So apart from this, everything is same whatever we had seen in the previous request, that is with including the headers. Now if you go back to this documentation, there is a section called as attachment. Just expand this and click on attachments. Here you can click on a file or the file attachment resource and you can go through the sample request which we can use while making a request. I have considered the same example wherein I am sending the odata.type as file attachment and with the details like what is the name and the content for that particular file. If you are looking for an exact format, like how we can know what is the exact format in which we have to send, if you go to the documentation on the left side under posts, we are having add a attachment. Click on this. It will open the add attachment documentation page. If you scroll down, there is a section over here. We need to copy and paste exactly same what you see over here. I have done the same wherein the name of this array is attachments. Within the array we are having one object and we are having a JSON name and the value like data type, name and the content type. So exactly same I have copied over here. So let me click on this send. So we are getting this 201 created message. Let me go to the mailbox. There is a draft message created over here. Now if you see, two addresses there, the group represents Washington, the message is there. Now let me open this sample attachment which it has attached. As I told, the message which I have encoded in base 64, it carried, this is a sample attachment text. Same thing it has written over here with the name whatever we had populated over here under the names. So like this, with the help of create draft message graph APIs, we can create a draft message and place in our mailbox so that we can manually check at the end of the day, or an executive could be assigned in order to validate those draft mails, and they can send at the end of the day. In our next class, we will also learn how we can automate sending of the draft messages which are available in the draft folder in our mailbox.